Hello, students. Welcome back to Remote Learning for TTC through radio lesson. My name is Teacher Emma, and I'll be taking you through today's lesson. To support continued learning, Rwanda Education Board is partnering with UNICEF and other partners to support remote learning for all levels of education, including TTC. In this lesson, we shall be learning about categories of human or child rights in accordance with Unit 11 from the Year 2 syllabus. Ensure that your environment is free from disruption and noise. Have a notebook and a pen. Good. So, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain what children's rights are in relation to universal human rights. We're also going to be discussing categories of human or children's rights. We shall also look at how children's rights can be promoted in the classroom, but also explain how human and children's rights are interrelated. To begin with, let us set the context for human rights or child rights. According to United Nations, human or children's rights are rights inherent to all human beings regardless of race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, religion, region, or any other status. Human rights are privileges every person should enjoy, simply because they are human and these are for every human being. Children's rights are subsets of universal human rights. Focus on children's rights is intended to provide special protection and care to minors. The United Nations defined a minor as a human being below the age of 18 years. Are we together, my friends? Very good. There is a full list of human rights, but today we shall focus on 4 major categories of human rights with reference to children's rights. And these are the 4, which I want you to note down. Survival rights, developmental rights, protection rights, and participation rights. Now, listen to the following scenarios that will enable you to understand the 4 categories of human or children's rights and be ready to answer questions after each scenario. Very good. Keza is in Senior 2 at Groupe Scolaire Kabeza. She comes home late from an evening remedial class. She finds her parents angry with her lateness, hence they refuse her to enter the house and to eat. She stays out the night as a punishment. Ooh. Get ready to answer some of the questions related to this scenario. Question 1. What happens to Keza when she comes home late? Yes. Can you write down the answer? Okay. Now, see whether your answer is like mine. Her parents get angry with her and refuse her to enter the house and eat. Okay. Thank you for your attention. You agree that what Keza's parents have done is not right because Keza has as a human being has a right to eat and sleep in the house to survive. Question 2. Which categories of human rights does this scenario violate? Which categories of human rights does this scenario violate? Good. This scenario violates survival rights and protection rights. Survival rights are rights that a human being, particularly a child, needs in order to survive. For example, the right to eat a balanced diet, the right to shelter or house, the right to clothing, the right to medical care, and so many other basic needs. Note that the right to protection is also violated because Keza is exposed to danger, sleeping out of the house. Scenario 2. Mugabe lives with his adoptive family. At 10 years old, he's not able to read and write because he has not had an opportunity to attend school like other children in this family. Rather, he is occupied by household activities every day without even having short time to rest and play with other children. Have you heard the scenario about Mugabe? Good. Get ready to answer some question related to this. Question 1. Why has Mugabe not had an opportunity to attend school? Yes? Can you try? Check and see whether you have the same answer as mine. His adoptive parents prefer he stays at home doing household activities while other children attend school. Is that good? Of course not. You agree that what Mugabe's adoptive parents are doing is not right, since they should be treating Mugabe just as they treat their own children. But again, remember, the government has also provided free education to all children. Which categories of human rights does this scenario violate? This scenario violates developmental rights and participation rights. Do you understand what I mean? Mugabe's right to development is violated because since he's missing out on attending school, his intellectual, social, and emotional and moral development will be limited. His right to education is violated and will not be able to read and write, which is very unfortunate. My dear friends, as we start the teaching profession or the teaching career, we need to bear in mind what are some of the children's rights that we must promote and respect. And we are so glad that our government has even put in place the free education. So every child has a right to education. Mugabe's right also to participation is violated. What do I mean? Because he's not allowed to play with other children as well as not being allowed to participate in schooling. In the scenario, we saw that at home, he's not allowed to play with other children. Instead, he's given work to do. That's not right. Mugabe should also enjoy playing with other children. So as teachers, we must always encourage children of this nature, or children who have gone through such a life. In most cases, you will find them finding trouble socializing with others. So what do we need to do? We have to encourage such children to participate, to socialize, and make sure that they become part of the community. Now, this will lead to violation of Mugabe's other rights to access to information, because he won't be able to read and write. Remember, he does not go to school. So, my friends, if you know children in your places, in your villages, that are not going to school, you should report them to school or report them to the local authorities for help. It should also be noted that Mugabe, at only 10 years as the main person supporting household activities using child labor, which is a violation of Mugabe's right to development and protection. So as children, we must protect them from child labor, because child labor does not promote the child's developmental process. Let us consolidate our lesson by reflecting on the two scenarios, which I will repeat. Remember, scenario 1, we have Kaiser in Senior 2 at Groupe Scolaire Kabeza. She comes home late from an evening remedial class. She finds her parents angry with her lateness. And remember, they refuse her to enter the house and to eat. She stays out the whole night as a punishment. That is so bad. Scenario 2. Mugabe lives with his adoptive family. At 10 years old, he's not able to read and write because he has not had the opportunity to attend school like other children in this family. Rather, he is occupied by household activities every day without even having a short time to rest and play with other children. That is so mean. Now, let us reflect on these scenarios in relation to the 4 main categories of human rights. Are we together, my friends? Okay, so we have the category. Do you remember? 1, we said category 1 is survival rights. The examples of these are right to eat, right to shelter, right to clothing, right to medical care. Kaiser's right to eat is violated. Kaiser's right to shelter is also violated. Now, when it comes to developmental rights, the examples of these rights are right to education, right to access information, and right to play and rest. When it comes to Mugabe's right to development, it is violated because he cannot attend school. Mugabe's right to participation is also violated because he is not allowed to play with other children. Mugabe's right to rest is also violated because he is made to work while other children are resting. Mugabe's right to access to information is also violated because he will not be able to read and write. Now, let us also look at the protection rights. Remember the 4 main categories: the survival rights, developmental rights, and protection rights. Examples of these are right to life and liberty, right to name and nationality, freedom from child abuse, freedom from discrimination, freedom from child labor, and freedom from child exploitation. Now, Keza's sleeping out of the house and not being fed is a form of child abuse, and she's exposed to danger. Whereas also Mugabe is suffering child exploitation and child labor. Mugabe's adopted child is discriminated against because he is made to do housework while other children rest and play. This is also child abuse and exploitation. Now, let us look at another category, which is the participation rights. Examples of these are freedom of opinion, freedom of association, freedom of worship, right to expression, right to participate in cultural activities. Keza is denied the right to explain her lateness from school. The parents never listened to Keza. They were just angry and they just locked her outside the house. That is bad. Mugabe is denied the right to participate in child activities like play. You remember? As other children enjoy play, he is made to do house activities. Good. Mugabe is denied the right to participate in education, hence denied the fundamental right to education. He cannot go to school. That is very bad. My dear friends, where you stay, have you seen such children going through this kind of life? This is the right time for us to report these to our local authorities. Are we together, my friends? So, how can we as teachers ensure that these rights or the children's rights be promoted in the classroom? Are we together, my friends? How do we promote and protect children? So the answers that we have are by ensuring that all children are safe in class. We must set a conducive, safe learning environment. By attending to children's ability and medical needs and referring them to appropriate authorities for help. As a teacher, when children come to your class in the morning, the first thing that you should be concerned with, it is their well-being. Are they okay from sickness? If one is sick, what are we going to be doing as teachers? Of course, it is to let the school authorities know and also contact the parents. By giving children the best inclusive learning experience. Let me repeat that. Our children are supposed to be given the best inclusive learning experience. What do I mean when I say inclusive? In other words, as teachers, we must use a differentiated approach that caters for all children's or learners' individual differences. By giving them opportunities to participate freely in class activities and ask questions freely so as to understand the content being taught. This is very important. The moment we kill children's self-esteem, worth, and confidence in the classroom, even when they grow up, they will be mature people, but they won't have confidence in themselves. So we need to create an environment where children are free to ask, where children are given the right to be able to be explained what they've not understood. Are we together, my friends? By caring about them and listening to them to know what challenges they are dealing with, so as to advocate for their rights. As we teach children, we need to be good listeners. When children leave their parents and come to school, we are the parents at school that they spend a lot of time with. Therefore, as a good teacher, you are supposed to be an active listener. You listen to individual kids' needs. And from listening to their needs, we are able to ensure that their rights are protected. Do you see, my dear teachers to be, that being a teacher is just beyond just preparing a lesson plan? A very good teacher is one who is able to put into mind the status and the state of the learners he or she is going to be teaching. Note that, as we have seen, rights are interrelated, since violation of one right leads to violation of another. If you get Kaiser and lock her out of the house, and she has a right to shelter, automatically she's going to miss out on food. So, my dear friends, as we come to the conclusion of our sessions today, you know that children's rights are part of the universal human rights, only that they are emphasized for the protection of children. Human or children's rights are in categories, and today we have looked at the examples of the survival rights, developmental rights, protection rights, and participation rights. As teachers, we have a responsibility to promote children's rights in the classroom, in school, and even in our communities. That's something very, very important. So, we need to be ambassadors. We need to be on the lookout. If you know a child whose rights are being violated, report that to the authorities. Are we together, my friends? And finally, we are now aware that human or children's rights are interrelated, inasmuch as violation of one leads to violation of another. So, all rights should be respected equitably. As we end this lesson, my dear friends, please do this task. Think of good practices that you'll do in your respective classes that promote children's rights, and write them in your notebook. Very soon, schools will be starting in September. As schools start, I want you to think, and quite a number of you will be doing school practice within this academic year that is going to be coming. Ensure to do everything possible to promote human and children's rights at all times. My dear friends, student teachers, tutors, and parents, our lesson has come to an end. Please, always let us try our level best to promote and protect the rights of the children. This lesson has been developed by Rwanda Education Board in collaboration with UNICEF, Help a Child, Right to Play, IE Rwanda. Please, always tune in to these radio lessons and learn from them and make as much notes as you can. And again, I want to challenge all of you, always do research on the internet. Some of you have got smartphones. always, every time we discuss a topic on the radio, take time to research using internet, or even when you go back to college, endeavor to use the library and read further about this. Thank you so much for your participation. Until next time, goodbye.